How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It. As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to Northeast Texas, Southeast Texas, Northwest Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana, and to every nook and cranny receiving the signals from our 100,000 watt transmitter into those magical boxes known as radios for AKA the Howard Rennell boxes. Anyway, folks, we're going to have a great show for you today. Welcome to the world through the magic of the internet, also known as the ARPANET, created by whom? We the people. Even though right now we have the plutocrats, the oligarchs, the billionaires using it to destroy our country. Yes, I just said it, to destroy our country with the magic. Well, we'll get into that a little bit later. Anyway, folks, without any further ado, let's welcome our most important parts, which is the two brothers, the geniuses in the studio. Hello.
Have you seen those guys, Jack?
We're still looking for them.
He talks about geniuses in the studio. I've never seen
like
one.
Gremlins or Minahoonie?
Well, they're like little midgets thing, you know. I'm not sure exactly what they look like because we've never seen them. Good morning, Egberto. It is Monday morning at the radio, and you talk about the internet being used to destroy America. Facebook has become a sewer, an absolute sewer, with all these memes of Donald Trump this and Donald the greatest president ever. And, you know, people are so dang rude on there. They're willing to pop off and call names about people they don't even know. Mm-hmm. And you know what? They'll fit in just nicely with the MAGA crowd because that's what the MAGA crowd does. If they can't beat you with logic, they'll shout you down. So it's just a sewer. I mean, I've got to take a break from Facebook. It's like, seriously? You think this guy's going to be able to do anything? But, you know, that's a whole other story. Jack has some wisdom here for us today, and I think that's probably better than anything I've got to say.
Good morning, Egberto. How are you?
I'm fine, my brother. Good morning. How are you doing this morning, sir?
I was just fixing to tell Howard to take the other picture of the other end of his face and put it on Facebook.
Oh, Jack.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Well, here we go.
It's an inside joke.
It is.
All right. This is about the Electoral College. The Electoral College is a safety the wealthy control. If the people elect a candidate that is undesirable to the elites, they can change the results of the election. Trump being the clear and present danger and threat to the well-being of the world, you'd think it would be time for the Electoral College to exercise its power. But I'm thinking not.
Go ahead, Jack.
Oh, first caller of the day here. Let me go get that.
Yeah, well, you know, it is interesting, Jack. I mean, because you nailed it, and that's one of the soliloquies I have for today. I actually have it. I recorded it last night and turned it into a blog. So you hit the nail on the head, my brother. You hit the nail on the head. But what can I say? Are they going to act? No, they're not going to act. But we can wish. We can wish that for once. You know, I talk about a clock being correct twice a day. That's what I'm going to mention in the soliloquy, but I think I better wait until to see if I should take the call first. I don't know if it's going to be a call, but the screener is not up yet, so I don't know who it is. I imagine that will be up in the short time. But in the meantime, I want to tell folks that as Howard was saying, a lot of the internet has become a sewer, but good. There are new things coming online. And I'm still on Twitter, you know, Egberto Willis on Twitter. But guess what? I joined Blue Sky. And Blue Sky has gained over 2.5 million users since the election. So, guys, if you want to find me on Blue Sky, you can go to at Egberto Willies. That's my Blue Sky handle, at Egberto, the at sign, egbertowillies.bsky.social. I repeat, it is at egbertowillies.bsky.social. That is my handle, or that is my full link on Blue Sky, which is going to be the new competitor to the sewer that a part of the sewer that Howard talked about, which is what Twitter, or X, formerly known as Twitter, has become. Well, since there are no calls yet, I prepared about a 17-minute soliloquy. So since no calls are in yet, I'm going to start with that. And you guys can give me a call after 17 minutes. But it's something I came up with, wishful thinking, yes. But you know what? A clock is right. Even a dead clock is right twice a day. But here we go. The new Trump presidency hasn't yet begun, and we can already see the clear and present danger that it is going to be. And I want to say something that I don't think I would have ever said, but it is clear, first of all, that a dead 12-hour clock, even a dead 10-hour clock, a dead 12-hour clock is correct twice a day. And I'm going to bring that analogy to the Electoral College. Just maybe, and I want you guys to hear me out, just maybe this is the time where we should use that constitutional aberration, that undemocratic aberration that the founders, for racist reasons, the founders, for the reasons of the power, keeping the elite in power, maybe it is time for us to use that institution for the benefit of us all. After all, Donald Trump, over the last few days since his election, has proven something that Kamala Harris said throughout the election, that this isn't a serious person. This isn't the knowledgeable person. This is somebody that cares nothing about systems, organizations, what will keep people moving forward. He cares nothing about that. But he told us, he said his new presidency is going to be retribution, but forget about the retribution because that affects singularly people, individuals. But when we talk about the collective, all of us, what he's proven right now is that he's willing to destroy what we have fixed since the inception of the Constitution and beyond. The election, suggesting that Chelsea Gabbard should be the DNI secretary, the director of national intelligence, suggesting that Matt Gaetz, somebody who's accused of, and there's credible evidence that he participated in trafficking, had sex with a 17-year-old, is probative. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, thinking that somebody so incompetent and such a person devoid of morals could be selected as the defense secretary. And more importantly, for the director or the secretary of the Human and Health Services, the Health and Human Services, to be Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, someone who doesn't believe in vaccines, someone who has such out of scope beliefs in science. And look, the guy does believe in some good things, that the big pharma is terrible. All of those things are true. But mixing some truths with things that would harm us all, that is a clear and present danger, not to a select few, but to the many. And when one goes ahead and think about it, one would say, well, he was elected democratically. And that is so true. The majority of the population from the count so far seem to be that they would have voted for Donald Trump. Unlike 2016, when he lost by 3 million votes, unlike 2020, when he lost by 7 million votes. But again, I digress. The Electoral College has been wrong. The Electoral College is an aberration. But let's be clear here. The Electoral College, if there's one mechanism left for us to save the country, just maybe the Electoral College, and they have December 17th, I believe, before they have to conclude. And for anyone saying, how can you dare say that? Well, we can prove that the Electoral College when it elected George Bush, changed the trajectory of the United States and is the genesis of a lot of the problems that we have today. From the Iraq war to creating a more massive defense industrial complex to the privatization of wars all over the world. We can show where the Electoral College, by making the president George Bush, created an existential problem going forward for the country. That can be proven based on what occurred under the Bush II administration. It was a clear failure internationally, etc. And then when the Electoral College elected Donald Trump, it was again the master of death. Had we had a competent president, we would not have lost over 1 million American citizens to COVID, because more than likely COVID would have been nipped in the butt before it became a pandemic. So the Electoral College failed by electing an incompetent person, and in the process creating a movement, a cult movement that dummified the population, that made the population less intelligent. Not to speak about having removed us from the Iran nuclear deal, not to speak about having removed us from the Paris Accord, which made sure that we looked like the nation that produces a second amount of carbon in the air was no longer reliable as being one of those who would provide the solution to the problem of the environment, which is likely our most severe problem at this time. But now we get Donald Trump for a second term, and the people that he is appointing are lacking. The people that he's appointed, they in each of those positions themselves, solely in those positions individually, are a clear and present danger to the Americans, to the world. In each of those positions, if health goes awry, it goes awry in America and internationally. If the defense secretary does the wrong thing, he creates the wrong environment, it affects the entire world. The attorney general, if he goes ahead and prosecutes that which he shouldn't, can have a material effect. And Chelsea Gabbard, as DNI, Director of National Intelligence, will ensure that no longer will we get the reports and intelligence reports from all these other countries working in unison to prevent us from being attacked from those who do not wish, for those who wish us harm. And for those who think there's no precedence, there's a very important article to read at the Electoral College at the Brennan Center. And that article titled The Electoral College Racist Origins. Read that entire article. I'll place it in the corresponding blog for this particular post, this particular video. But again, an important article to read, The Electoral College's Racist Origins. But I want to use the argument that from a document that was linked to that particular Brennan story that originally appeared in The Atlantic by constitutional professor Wilfred E. Codrington III. But he referenced an article by William Buckley. Everybody know who's one of the parents of conservatism, or one of the guardians of conservatism. William F. Buckley wrote this article, Yea Yonder. And I want to read a couple of snippets from it. I mean, the article is objectionable. It's a racist article, but I want to show where this article, the snippets from this article, the article is titled, Why the South Must Prevail. And I'm going to use Buckley as a rationale for just maybe the Electoral College doing the right thing on the 17th of December. We're talking about juries, and he was talking about a vote in the Senate, and in effect, he's saying that there are times when juries, the jury of all of us, when we are executing our duties, just may waive the written law. And he says, for the effect of it is, and let us speak about it bluntly, to permit a jury to modify or waive the law in such circumstances as the judgment of the jury requires so grave an interposition between the law and its violator. In effect, it is saying there are times when, and I'm paraphrasing here, there are times when, for specific reasons, the law may not work. And then he has a long prose, and I want you to humor me here as I read it. And some will take offense to this as I take offense to it, because Again, it's a racist statement, but I want to read it anyway because the people that he is currently speaking badly about are the people that folks would speak badly about now for having elected Donald Trump, and why maybe we need to supersede that for the benefit of society at large. Check this out. The central question that emerges, and it is not a parliamentary question or a question that is answered by merely consulting a catalog of rights of American citizens born equal, is whether the white community in the South is entitled to take such measures as are necessary to prevail politically and culturally in areas in which it does not predominate numerically. The sobering answer is yes. The white community is so entitled. For the time being, it is the advanced race. It is not easy, and it is unpleasant to adduce statistics evidencing the median cultural superiority of white over Negro, but it is a fact that obtrudes one that cannot be hidden by ever so busy egalitarians and anthropologists. The question, as far as the white community is concerned, is whether the claim of civilization supersedes those of universal suffrage. The British believe they do and acted accordingly in Kenya, where the choice was dramatically one between civilization and barbarism, and elsewhere. The South, where the conflict is by no means dramatic as in Kenya, nevertheless perceives important qualitative differences between its culture and the Negroes and intends to assert its own. National Review believes that the South's premises are correct. Remember the National Review magazine. If the majority wills what is socially atavistic, then to thwart the majority may be, though undemocratic, enlightened. It is more important for any community anywhere in the world to affirm and live by civilized standards than to bow to the demands of the numerical majority. Sometimes it becomes impossible to assert the will of a minority, in which case it must give way and the society will regress. Sometimes the numerical minority cannot prevail except by violence. Then it must determine whether the prevalence of its will is worth the terrible price of violence. So that sounds harsh, and it is harsh because it doesn't go into the true narrative of the Western world going into Kenya and who are really the barbaric ones. Doesn't tell you. And just as it talks about the civilization in the United States, it doesn't really say who is the barbaric ones, the one who maybe the civilization that actually killed off the Indians, the civilization that actually enslaved people and made and kept them uneducated. So there's a whole lot of narrative that isn't saying there, but we're just looking at this not from an emotional point of view, but a literal point of view. Now, he does end with an interesting statement that I guess softens it a bit. He said the South confronts one grave moral challenge. It must not exploit the fact of Negro backwardness to preserve the Negro as a servile class. It is tempting and convenient to block the progress of a minority whose services as menials are economically useful. Let the South never permit itself to do this. In other words, you don't want to keep down people just for financial sake. So long as it is merely asserting the right to impose superior mores for whatever period it takes to effect a genuine cultural equality between the races, and so long as it does so by humane and charitable means, the South is in step with civilization, as is the Congress that permits it to function. I mean, in effect, he's saying, well, when those minorities or those black people or those natives or when they come up to our when those cultural standards are equal, then then one person, one vote. Okay, look, this is the racist document written back yonder. I mean, it is amazing that this was the norm and this is how people spoke. Okay, and this is what and without narrative, just asserting one's superiority, without asserting how one got to be considered the superior one, through violence, through misogynist, through whatever the case may be. But the reason I brought this article up is we could use this same analogy now to those who decided to elect a misogynist, a convicted criminal, somebody who went ahead and hold on to women by their parts, somebody who was stolen, somebody who has been a traitor to the country, somebody who empirically has potentially sold secrets to other countries, etc. I'm saying, quote unquote, we could use that same analogy within conservative daddy Williams Buckley's document to justify to justify an electoral college that says to save the nation, we must do this. Remember, in this one article, he said there are times when a jury must go against a law. He also states that, well, if you have an educated population that is doing something against their interests, even as they don't know it. And he makes mentions of also, but this is a temporary fix just to preserve society. Let me tell you something, folks. A democracy requires good thinking, educated people. We can have discussions on whether to have big government and small government. We can have discussions on whether we should make abortion legal or not legal. We can have discussions as far as where we want controls to be. What we cannot have discussions about is whether we can watch our country go down the drain, watch our country lose, watch a majority of the people be placed in a condition where they're failing. Look, if we were solely run by a majority vote, as many believe in, as I believe that we should do that most of the times, except for, again, folks, inalienable rights. But an inalienable right is a right to continue to exist. An inalienable right is one that allows for, as the Constitution speaks about as well, is the goodwill of us all. And what has been done by the election of Donald Trump denies that, and there is one mechanism left, a mechanism that we ultimately want to go away, but a mechanism that I said, but a condition in this country that would not have occurred if that particular mechanism hadn't failed in the first place with Bush 1 and Trump. Bush 2 and Trump. That mechanism laid the foundation for what we have today. So to use that mechanism to save the country, maybe that's deserves some thought. If we have 10 bushels of corn and the population is uneducated and some people are still left marginally hungry but survivable, and we say, no, we cannot eat this bushel of corn, because if we eat this bushel of corn, we don't have corn for the next year and the next year, etc. And the uneducated person would be like, I'm hungry right now. I want to eat that food right now. They don't see the reason that eating that corn right now will ultimately kill civilization altogether. That is why we need at times corrective measures. And this just may be time in the history of America where that corrective time is needed. I would love to hear your thoughts. And that was my soliloquy that I did yesterday about the Electoral College. Of course, it is wishful thinking, but the state that what I want folks to, and by the way, the telephone number is 713-526-5738, 713-526-5738, extension numero dos. 713-526-5738, extension number 2. One of the reasons that I did that, I kept on thinking, and as I saw all these things that Donald Trump is doing, all I could say is, my God, but he's the elected president now, and he can do as he pleases. And the other thing is watching all those senators. I have some other clips that I'm not going to show here, but you can go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter to see them if you're interested, where you just see all these senators coalescing. All of them are saying, oh, Matt Gaetz doesn't stand a chance of winning the election. Really? I mean, not winning the election, getting his nomination being successful. Really? That's not what I see. I heard Mullen on TV yesterday saying otherwise. I see a lot of these senators showing that they will continue to cower to Donald Trump. So I am not sure if we are not about to see a Kennedy as Director of the Health and Human Services department which handles Medicare, Medicaid, medicines, and all these different things. So for those of you who are on all these different programs, and that's a large percentage, if not most of the well, actually most of the populations when you count medicine and food and drugs and all that sort of thing, we are in a position now where it's a clear and present danger. Donald Trump, in effect, he's in power and he's showing that he doesn't really give a damn. He doesn't really give a damn as far as what he's going to do. Anyway, folks, again, una vez más, before I move on to the next subject, do you want to make any comments on this? 713-526-5738. I thought I would have heard a whole lot more response to the commentary here on this one. 713-526-5738. It's amazing. Now, the other topic that we have to cover today is about Rahm Emanuel and becoming the the folks are trying to make him the chair, or suggesting that he becomes the chair of the DNC. No, thank you, but we'll talk about that after I take that call that's about to come in. But anyway, folks, did you hear the soliloquy? Give me a call. 713-526-5738, extension number 2. 713-526-5738, extension number 2. Come on in, Bart.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, my brother. Talk to me.
I was just going to tell you, be careful if you kick Matt Gaetz out of there, you're going to get Ken Paxton.
I wouldn't mind having Ken Paxton in either. Look, let me tell you this, okay? I think, first of all, Ken Paxton is just as bad as Matt Gaetz. I mean, they both have their where they've sexually abused women. They have, I mean, you know what I find ironic, Bart? How come so many of the people that surround Donald Trump are misogynists and sexist and abusers of women? Do you have any idea why that's the case?
I don't know. Probably the same reason all the Democrats are pedophiles.
Really? Really? Last time, which Democrat is a pedophile again, my brother?
Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton.
Okay, I see. I see. You've been reading the right wing rags, but that's okay. We'll talk another day, Bart. But thank you for suggesting that Paxton may. Go ahead.
If you guys if you hadn't cheated in the last election, you'd be in the last 2 months of Trump's term.
Cheated. You know what is interesting, Bart? I know that I can't take that out of your mindset. I don't know what it is in your mind that evidence doesn't work. But I tell you what, the one thing that you do for me when you call with a lot of the nonsensical thing is it exposes what the fight is going to be about. But thank you so kindly, my brother. You have a wonderful.
Still counting votes in California 2 weeks later.
Again, there's no magic about that. Why do you? I tell you what. Let's use this as an example. Audience, I want to show. Oh, wait, hold on, Bart. I wanted to give the audience an opportunity to show how conspiracies are built. Your concern is that they're still counting votes in California. Is that a concern?
Yes.
Why are they still counting votes? Did you do an investigation as to why they're still counting votes?
I don't know. There is no reason for it.
But you made it seem as if it's a conspiracy. No, the last day the reason they're still counting votes are several, right? One, some of it is done manually. Again, there are things like provisional ballots, but also the last day for you to send your mail-in vote is on election day, and the mail can take up to 7 days to get to you, right? And when that mail gets to you, it also has to be processed, opened from the envelopes, validated, and that's why it takes so long. There's no there, and this is the same thing that occurs in Pennsylvania, and the same thing that occur in red states. So because red states are not contentious, nobody, you don't have people in that are Democrats saying, "Why are you still counting votes?" But when it comes to the other states, you guys try to make it a conspiracy. Kind of silly. But Bard, we'll talk another time. Let's go to Gwen. Come on in, Gwen.
Hi, good morning, dear. How are you?
Good. I am doing fine, my sister. Talk to me.
Um, well, first of all, I'd just like to thank you for being the voice of reason. And I'm sitting out in my car right now listening to you. I just moved, nothing's hooked up at my house. So I'm sitting out having coffee and listening to you. I'm very sad for America and for the world about this. I don't think people know what they're in for. A lot of people that voted for him, I just don't think they have any idea what they're in for. And it just saddens me. It's like the Confederacy won, the Kremlin won, the all the hate groups won. I don't know, but what I was wondering if you have what your take. I'm on Social Security, and I'm just wondering about that. That's pretty much my main source of income, and I'm lower income. Do you have any ideas on what he's going to do?
Well, let me tell you what based on the kind of spending he wants to do and where his spending would occur and what he wants to do on taxes, things I figure that if he has his way, things like COLA, your cost of living increase that occurs every year, may be the first culprit. The
Hmm?
second culprit is likely the attempt to raise the retirement age. I'll be very frank with you. I think if you are already on Social Security, the hit that you're going to take is likely to be the cost of living increase if he can get it through. But let me tell you what we are going to do as part of the those of us who intend to be a part of the resistance. Let me take my host hat
Uh-huh.
off and speak to you as an activist now. Uh, what we're going to
Okay.
do is turn you, my dear Social Security recipient, into the biggest army against anybody attempting to touch your Social Security. Let me give you some history here, okay? Back in
Okay.
when Bush got elected the second time around, his goal was to privatize Social Security, and he thought he had a mandate just like Donald Trump had a mandate. Let's recall Bush two did not win the popular vote the first time he ran. So he was a crippled
Right.
president, and he was always concerned about not being able to have that mandate. But his second time around, he beat John Kerry, and he actually, just like Trump did this time around, his second time around, he won the popular vote. And he goes out there, and the first thing he sang was, I have a mandate. And he had the media singing that he had a mandate. He had Democrats talking about him having a mandate. But his biggest mistake was to try to touch Social Security. And what we did as activists is we went out there and we made that the issue. And he had to come curled with his tail between his legs. He couldn't touch Social Security. And that is what we intend to do with Donald Trump. With Social Security, we intend to do, and the reason that is going to work is the amount of people on Social Security. The problem that we're going to have with him, however, is healthcare. Because right now, the
Right.
narrative and the lies that they're telling in healthcare is to make one believe that socialized medicine or medicine for all is somehow something that people don't want. It's a lie. We are working. In fact,
Exactly.
I had a call yesterday with an activist group that we're working. Actually, it's not an activist group. It's a conglomerate of groups getting together to pull the narrative away from the establishment Democrats because they're a problem. Establishment Democratic machine is a problem. They are not pushing for the kind of healthcare America needs. And we're talking about strategies that will be used to get people engaged and be a part of it. So, what I want to tell you is this: we can be sad about this election. Yes, let's be sad about the election, but let's be positive about this bringing us together to work for a solution. Democracy is not something that you vote for one time and it's in existence. It's something that you always have to
Right.
fight for. And I want you to rest assured,
Right.
you calling in, you're doing your part. You're doing your part in letting people know you exist and that we have to fight
Right.
for you. And you will become a part of the fight as well for whatever a part you can do. And we will make sure that everybody gets engaged in doing the part that they need to do. So, Gwen, thank you very much for your call. Anything else you want to add?
No, just that. Thank you for your service. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. You have a wonderful day, my friend. All right, let's go to Brother Ray. Come on in, Brother Ray.
Yeah, Berto. Thank you for your thoughts earlier on that monologue that you had actually recorded. It is wishful thinking, but unfortunately, I sat here and watched Joe Biden, sit in the chair across from, Donald Trump, just like it was business as usual, and you, as a person who votes Democrat, in the progressive wing of life, you hope that these people would try to pump the brakes and use the institutions they still have while they still have them. And the thing about it is, it's like they were sounding the alarm saying, hey, this man is a threat to democracy, this man is a threat to democracy, until they lose the election. And then it's like, well, we lost the election, so we can't do anything about the threat to democracy. Let's just move on. Business will go on. It's just, I hate how the Democratic establishment does kind of just do the theatrics and the pageantry of it. Like, this is not a big deal, like if it was our side, I don't care if he won by 10 million votes, we would have something to say. And I just don't see that, from anywhere. And I mean, the whole Rahm Emanuel thing, forget the whole Obama administration as far as moving forward. It clearly is not where America is now.
Ray, I'm glad you said that, because I mean, and we run the risk of that, right? I mean, you said something so prescient. Let me explain. You said before the election, Democrats were talking about Donald Trump being a clear and present danger, Donald Trump being dangerous and whatever. And after the election, the establishment Democrats are simply trying to appease Donald Trump, which is what I see. And you are so correct in that observation. Right? And you say it's like business as usual. He comes to the White House, he shake hands, and like it's buddy buddy. That's not how you treat a clear and present danger. And not only that, you don't treat a clear and present danger who used the techniques that he used to win. You don't treat it that way. You find some other way to show that we got to get up there and work. And Ray, that is some of the things that we spoke on the call. I'm not going to name the name of the representative right now because I want to make sure I get all my facts together. But there is this one state program for healthcare that we're talking about, and a prominent someone we would have considered a progressive Democrat came and spoke in Chicago yesterday. And as soon as the talk was over, I got a text from the president of one of these organizations. He's like, I can't believe she said that. This is a disaster. We almost had 3 states ready to go, and she didn't mention it once. I'll go into that in detail in some other broadcast. And what I told him was, look, these are people starting to fall into line now that Donald Trump has won. And we are not, those of us, let me take my host hat off now. Those of us in the activist community, in the progressive activist community, cannot allow that to happen. Within now and the next 6 months, we have to grab the mantle, because we are not going to let the Rahm Emanuels of the world make deals with the Trump half of the plutocracy to continue to screw the working class, because that's all that's going to happen, Ray. I think you nailed it. How is this big threat suddenly kind of okay? You know what I mean? It's not. So, Ray, there's a lot of work to do, and you have to be a part of it. And anybody listening to my voice right now, you got to be a part of it. Anything else, Ray? I got my lines full.
Well, for all the MAGA people out there, I'm just saying Donald Trump right now is in his, I call his Bruno Mars era. So, this pick with Matt Gaetz, the child molester, I call him, because that's rightfully the title he deserves.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a big middle finger to all of the progressives and saying, y'all say I'm corrupt. I'm going to show you. Don't believe me? Just watch.
And
I'm
you
going
know
to leave
what?
on.
Oh, let me tell you. Let me tell you why I keep that relationship with MAGA. They will be on board with us in the next few months. A lot of them going to be on board with us in the next few months because they're going to see. Not all going to wake up, but quite a few are going to wake up. But Ray, got to go, my dear brother. See you at 3 if you're there.
All right, brother. Take care.
All right, let's go to Dale. Come on in, Dale.
Yes, yes, I have 2 points that I want to make. The first one is I heard Secretary Blinken say he's going to push every dollar out to Ukraine this morning. But the problem with the Democratic Party, the way I see it, is currently approximately 40% of the people in prison are black people. Their status has not changed for a long time, and they have not invested to change their status. So why should, this is my question to you, why should poor, mostly poor even white, poor black people for Democrats, they talk about minimum wage, you can't live by minimum wage, but they don't never talk about transformative solutions to change the status quo. Second comment that I want to make is in regard to the election, disappointed, but the fact was that Kamala Harris was talking about the economy, which has been hijacked, whether true or not, by the Republican Party. But she never really emphasized the criminal history, and the insurrectionist history of Donald Trump. So she moved from talking about really emphasizing his rap sheet instead of economics and other issue. I think probably that has killed her possibility of winning. That's my comment, and I will listen to you. Thank you.
Okay, Dale. Let me answer the first question about the blacks in prison. Okay, the black problem in America, or it's not only the black problem, the indigenous problem, but people of color problem has, a lot of people like to put that on Republicans. I don't do that. The difference between Republicans and Democrats really isn't racism. Okay, there's the same amount of racism that occurs in the Republican Party occurs in the Democratic Party. And I've given stories, I've written blogs about that and all the progressive activities that I have. So racism is a human problem, not a party problem. And the difference between how the Republicans had. Go ahead, Dale. What's that?
I didn't say racism definitely, is very pronounced in the Republican Party, but I didn't say, I'm talking about economics.
I know. I wanted to get there because you started the discussion with blacks in prison. So I wanted to, and you said that in effect that you don't see that the Democrats have done anything on that issue, and then you brought it to economics. How that, assuming that a lot of that occurs because of economic reasons, and I just wanted to sort of lay a foundation before I answered the question in detail. Okay.
Good.
All right. So my point is, for those who are sitting down there thinking Democrats not racist, Republican racist, that's the wrong context altogether. The difference in how these two parties handle race is that Republicans don't give a damn about it. Okay, they don't care about you. They talk about no identities. In effect, let it flow. Let whatever flourish. Okay, as a form of policy, Democrats are always trying to improve on it, whether successful or not, but they're trying to improve on it. Okay, they're trying to say we shouldn't be this way, etc. But we are humans, and that's where we are as a country. Now, how it comes to economics, there are three. There are not two parties. There are three parties in this country. There is the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. There is a neoliberal party, and then there is the MAGA party, which was formerly what we would call the right wing party. Those are the three parties. And the party that has always had the dominance is the neoliberal party. All right. And the neoliberal party is comprised of Democrats and Republicans alike. And there, if you've read my blog where I talk about the rails, when we talk about there's a left rail and a right rail, that means nothing to me, because if you're talking about the left rail and the right rail, what's really happening is these rails are going in the same damn direction, right? What we need to talk about is busting is the derailment. What real progressives are talking about is a derailment that's needed, a change in direction that's needed. And you are so correct when you say, well, Democrats have not fulfilled these missions, and you can't solely blame that on Republicans. You have to look at the Emanuels of the world. You have to look at a changed Obama of the world, who, when got into office, and I look again, I'm not going into the reasons why, but after going into office, a lot of things that one would expect a progressive to do was actually attenuated. So it's deeper than that. What we said going forward is that progressives stayed quiet this election cycle. We didn't bother Kamala Harris when she went ahead and posed it up to Cheney. In fact, I wrote blogs saying, okay, so kind of supporting it, tacit support. We didn't. We when she didn't mention stuff about certain economic things like healthcare for all, we let it slide. And the reason progressives did that, when I say we, I'm not talking as a host. I'm talking about as an activist. When we did that again, what happened was we didn't want any loss in the Democratic Party to be attributed to progressives. In other words, progressives from AOC to Bernie, everybody played ball. They played ball with the neoliberals, and the neoliberals lost. When Biden ran as a progressive, and take a look at how Biden ran. I want you guys to see how he ran and what he did. Biden has been the most progressive president since Roosevelt, bar none. Okay,
But,
just to
when,
mention. Go ahead,
yeah,
Dale.
well, everything, rotates around economics. The economic standing of, for example, African Americans who really were the springboard for his nomination, what have you, has not changed. Of course, you can have, make statements being liberal or progressive. As you said, Obama, Clinton, Biden, the status quo of minorities who have been the backbone of the Democratic Party remains the same. The schools are rated F. They live in the ghetto, crime-infested area. The U.S. spends billions helping other people, Israel and Ukraine. If they spend a fraction of that one to transform these communities in once and for all, they could have done it. They don't care. That's the
Well,
way
I mean, and that it's okay to see it that way. That's not politics, though, right? The politics is that, first of all, black people plus indigenous Latino people do not make up a majority of the population. And if you start transferring, if you transfer as you've spoken to these people, first of all, black people don't elect Democrats. That is the biggest fallacy out there. Black people make up 13% of the population. Latinos make up, I can't remember the percentage. This is a white population, no matter how you look at it. And that is something that people need to get into their heads when they start to believe that black people have the power that they have in the Democratic Party and all that kind of stuff. Wake up. There's 12% of the population. They can make a difference at the margins. And therefore, that's the reason a lot of things don't get done for a select group of people. You have to find a way to be inclusive. When you hear my phrase that I say we have to unite Appalachia, the ghettos, and the barrios, it's in unity that you can make change, not singularly and for one group or anything like that. So that is the reality. Yes, it is true that we could take all the money from Ukraine and put it in the ghettos. The other fallacy is that to sit back and think that black people are a basket case or that Latinos are a basket case. Here's the reality. Most black people, most Latinos are doing just fine. Thank you very much. They have a higher percentage of poor because of historical reasons, but still, most are doing just fine. This stuff about these different minority groups being basket case is not a reality. It's an imaginary thing that's placed on TV. And I think it's important for us to understand that. Hey, Dale, I spent a lot of time with you, and because what you said is so important that I wanted to touch on. Can you keep listening and call another day as well?
Thank you.
Thank you, brother. All right, guys, I spent a lot of time with Dale and I don't have a lot of time left. So I'm going to be asking everybody to speak for 30 seconds and say your piece, and then we're going to move on. Betty, come on in, beautiful.
What I'm saying about Trump's cabinet, they run in bunches. They're like street gangs. They need each other. They are not men because of the life they live, and they're not true to themselves. Trump is a white tornado. This little girl, he is a white tornado. This little girl and half America is singing, we're in trouble. Somewhere, we are singing somewhere over the rainbow. Thank you.
Thank you, Betty. Let's go to Donald. Donald, give me about 30 seconds. I got to go quick, brother.
Yes, sir. So you want good morning. You want the Electoral College not to vote the way they're supposed to, correct?
Actually, it was a wishful thinking, and I know it's not a reality. But what I wanted people to postulate, real quick, Donald, is this. A lot of the problems that we're having right now is a result of that aberration, that horrendous thing called the Electoral College when it elected Bush 2, which caused the Iraq War and several other defense industrial complex extension and all of that. Secondly, it again elected Donald Trump, which took us out of the Paris Accord, which made COVID a killer, etc. And it was sort of a wishful thinking kind of a thing, not anything real. But continue, Donald.
The other thing, Joe Biden's sitting there smiling, shaking Trump's hands because he knew this week he was going to tell Ukraine that they could use long-range missiles. And then that's going to bring all the other people in to use their long-range missiles. So everybody gets to clean out their war chest from their outdated missiles and stuff.
There you go. Hey, Donald, I'm not going to argue with you on that one, brother. Could be true. Thank you, my brother. All right, Jacob, give me 30 seconds, Jacob.
Yeah, so-called blacks are the constituents, number one, and for the Democratic Party, number one. That's a fact. And the immigrants, the legal immigrants, they mad. They sweating because they got to go. The gay people, the progressives will never win this country. You can take that back to where you come from because that is not going to happen on this soil. I'm sorry. And the Chicago politicians, they play politics and they win. That's Emanuel and Obama now. The rest of we the ones got the senators and all that because we know how to play the game. I don't think you understand. You think you know more politics than what you do. We know how to do it. And Chicago would have put Kamala in there, but she went with the progressives, with the gay and the immigrants and all that stuff, and she got a mollywop with the popular vote, and also she's in Electoral College. It's over for y'all. That's it.
Thank you very much, Jacob. Let's go to Johnny. Come on in, Johnny.
That is really troubling, that last call. He said it's over for y'all. That's it. He said y'all. He didn't say it's us. It's over for us. That's one problem. But I have a change in my thinking. Like you, I still do, in fact, say that we should take over the Democratic Party. But I'm beginning to think that maybe that strategy is a failed strategy in terms of putting all our eggs in one basket. Rather than just focus on a takeover, whether it's a violent takeover or whatever kind of takeover of the party, I think we also need to simultaneously start putting our attention, volunteer work and energy and funding towards a party like the Working People's Party.
Let me interrupt you there. I'm a friend of Maurice Mitchell. Okay, Maurice Mitchell is head of that party. I spoke to him in Baltimore this week, not this week, at Last Net Roots. Check out the interview at my site. You're gonna see that is where we're heading. I love what you said, dear Johnny.
We need to in other words, we need to be able to brush our teeth and chew gum at the same time.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Look, let me just say, Johnny, you nailed it. Check out the interview with Maurice Mitchell. He's the head of that party. We'll talk later.
I hope I nailed it, not a nail.
All right, buddy. Let's talk. Patrick, come on in. Patrick, you're on. Did we lose Patrick? It looks like we lost. Yeah. Hey, Patrick. Well, yeah, it looks like we lost Patrick. I'll see Patrick. I know I'll reach him at 3:00. He's at both shows. Anyway, folks, I had to go through that real speed right there. I want to welcome on the chat. We've got Eric Hayes. We got J Ray says, unfortunately, the Democratic Party needs to learn if America has to choose between Republican and Republican light, they're just going to choose Republican. Why substitute? You nailed it, Jay. We don't have the discernment we used to have American society, and that's our downfall currently. You know, one of the board members were over at my place yesterday doing some calling to our members, and she was talking about that issue about downfall of the country, etc. And I pointed out, you know, the reality is we can make a difference. We can make a difference. So don't ever get disillusioned, folks. Don't ever get disillusioned. J. Ray says the neoliberal establishment Democrats are not electable anymore because they are perceived as fake. AOC dug into this, and AOC nailed it. Because imagine there are people who are voting for AOC and Trump. Think about that. There are a lot of AOC voters who actually voted for Trump. That tells you the decay of not of the progressives. It tells you the decay of the establishment Democrats. I want you guys to analyze that again. There's some articles about that at Daily Kos with AOC and that point. Anyway, let me throw it to the studio.
Okay, Egberto, I was just sitting here thinking, the American public, yeah, we're tired of high prices. Yeah, that's basically what it was all about anyway. Mm-hmm. But you have effectively used a hand grenade to kill a fly on the wall. The fly is dead. You achieved that goal, but boy, do you have a big hole in your wall.
Yep.
So to bring more flies in. And
yep.
you know, most of the stuff that Donald Trump was promising, he's not going to be able to deliver anyway. Some of this stuff is out of the president's purview and can't be done without an act of Congress. Maybe he can do it later, but the first day he's, I'm going to sign this executive order, like 300 of them. You're going to be in there all day signing executive orders on your first day. Seriously? Come on, people. You got to know the difference. You got to know the difference between somebody who can do something and who can't. Jack, what you got? He say nothing.
Wow, Jack has nothing. Oh my God. Well, he had a great start. But anyway, folks, look, don't forget the rest of the show is always at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Remember, no matter how many calls we get, we make sure to prepare a full show that you can go and always get to. Anyway, folks, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Love you all. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute, keeping your government by and for the people. President Donald Trump was not a fan of cryptocurrency. That is, until crypto magnates started pouring money into